We often find ourselves in scenarios where we're working with somebody senior in the organization, just like you, and there is yet still somebody on the other side that kind of has to rubber stamp things. And when we don't learn that early on, we've seen these conversations go sideways. Hey everyone, great to be back with you today. I'm Shannyn Lee, the managing director at Win Without Pitching, and I want to talk a little bit today about the decision maker dynamic. I had a good question come in from one of our followers who basically said, hey, we deal with senior leaders who have budget authority, who have decision-making authority until they don't, right? Until a real senior leader, a C-suite, CMO or CEO, has to have final sign-off. So how do we get past that without making that senior leader that we're in conversations with feel like we don't believe them, that they don't have decision-making authority? It's delicate, I get it, right? And it's often more about how you approach the questions, your explanation of why you're asking those kinds of questions, and the words that you find to get that question across so that you don't belittle that person or diminish that person's authority on the other side of the table. So I think the best thing to do first is just to enter into a conversation about who is the team that's going to be making the decision, and further, what's the process you're going to use to decide which agency you're going to hire. And so one way that I like being able to do that is just to simply acknowledge that that person is key to the process, right? So, hey, I understand, right, that you are leading this process and you are going to make a decision about which firm you want to move forward with. Is there anybody else on your team who is going to be a part of helping you make that decision, right? Explore, find out. If your spidey senses are telling you that they're not answering that fully or honestly, then dig a little further. Okay, great. So you have the overall authority to make the decision on who you want to move forward with. Once you make that decision, does anybody else have to approve it? Your CMO, your CEO? Okay, great. We're just peeling the onion back a little bit there, trying to find out, once you decide, does somebody have to rubber stamp it? And if you're really feeling like they're not playing straight with you, they're not really giving you the full honest answer, then it might just be time for an adult conversation. Those are the tricky ones that we don't always love having, but we have to get good at it. And I think in that case, it's a little bit of explaining the why behind you kind of pushing on this quadrant, the decision maker quadrant. And I think you have to have your reasons ready. Okay, great. So it sounds like you have total authority to make the decision and approve the budget. That's fantastic. And feel free to say no if I'm kind of overstepping my bounds here, but we often find ourselves in scenarios where we're working with somebody senior in the organization, just like you, and there is yet still somebody on the other side that kind of has to rubber stamp things. And when we don't learn that early on, we've seen these conversations go sideways. We've seen them get stalled. We've seen the scenario where we have to come back in and re-explain everything, walk through the proposal again, because we just don't have the right team in the room who should kind of be there early on. Is there anything going on your end like that we should be aware of in the decision-making process, right? Just like try to face it head on, tell a story of when it's gone sideways in the past so that they understand why you're asking, so that they feel acknowledged, right? They know they are in charge, but there might just be multiple levels and layers in the process. And further, it's really important to figure out what's the process they're using to decide. Is procurement going to show up after you're awarded the work? Will you have to go through the legal department and work through a big MSA agreement? You want to find those things out early on so that you can build in the time and the work and the knowledge or whatever it is you need to do to make sure that you keep the process moving on your end once you're awarded the work. So it's just all about finding your way into conversations that may feel delicate, gaining confidence in having these conversations, and just letting that person know across the table why you're asking, right? It's to their benefit, your benefit, if you're finding ways to work together. You want to keep things moving and hit the goals and targets that they have outlined. Try some of those things, see what you think, report back. It's great to be with you today. We love getting your questions, so feel free to drop me an email at Shannyn@winwithoutpitching.com, SHANNYN @winwithoutpitching.com, and let me know what's on your mind. I'm happy to answer your question. All right. Cheers, everybody. Take care.